Now, someone can pose a question. How did this Nyami Nyami provided these people, the Batonga people? It is said that Nyama Nyama would expose the other part of its body and people would cut strips of meat without necessarily killing it, but just getting meat. The name of Nyami Nyami is called SIMWAABA, which means the provider. Right here.
Yes.
Please introduce yourself.
I am Anne. My YouTube channel is Anne and Johan. Yes. And I'm here from Kenya, and I'm here in Zim, touring around the Big Falls, and I met official Shami.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much. So guys, we know our language as content creators, so we just met right here in Victoria Falls.
Yeah.
So I'm just happy. You know, when you meet other YouTubers, content creators, you begin to grow.
Yes.
So this is Anne, as she said.
Yes.
Out there, your host as usual, official Shami. Have you ever wondered about the true identity behind the legendary Nyami Nyami? Today we review the surprising new name linked to this powerful Zambezi spirit, which is Kasambabez, and also explore how the construction of the Kariba Dam changed everything for the Batonga people and the entire region in Zimbabwe. If you love discovering new African history, culture, and hidden stories like this one that I'm going to articulate in this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on notification so that you never miss any new video that I upload right here. Let's dive into the mystery and the history behind Nyami Nyami and the Lake Kariba, which is a trip to the Batonga people.
Ready to take part in such negotiations at any suitable time in the future.
Higher than St. Paul's Cathedral and nearly 2,000 feet long, the great dam.
Once upon a time, there was a river god, or the river goddess called Nyami Nyami. Now, this again is a misconception, or rather I can say corruption, of the original name or the original word of Batonga people, but its real name is called SIMWAABA, which translates the provider. If we are to make this clear to Batonga name, we can say kwaaba is to give. So the Batonga people, the Nyami Nyami was a source of food to them, especially during drought season or hunger. That's where the word emanates from, SIMWAABA, the provider. So whenever we are saying kwaaba, we are saying is to give. So this is where the word emanates from. Now, someone can pose a question, how this Nyami Nyami provided these Batonga people. Yes, it provided in the sense that it is said that Nyami Nyami would expose other part of its body and people would cut strips of meat without necessarily killing it, but just getting meat. Don't quote me wrong, please. I'm not being blasphemous here. We can say, in other ways, we can say it was a manna, or in biblical manna from heaven for Batonga people, like that one of the Israelites experienced when they were passing through the desert. As you can see, for example, you can relate that in times of hardship, God provided them with food. Same applies to the Batonga scenario. Nyama Nyama, which is Nyami Nyami in this case, could also or only be seen during drought season to serve the people or to provide the meat to the people. So we can relate very well with the biblical concept.
Mumari muladuba mumari mumwetera bwanga mumari mumwetera mulomo jesya ani ndongerwa jesya mumari mumwetera mulomo jesya ndamura jesya nzokwanjisya mwe obama menzokwanjera.
As you are listening to me, I want you to realize this. I want you to see the chemistry and the connection that was there between Nyami Nyami and the Batonga people. This was too spiritual that no one can really understand it until today, because there are so many misconceptions and people tend to make other theories. The academics, they've did their own theories, which is sometimes not true. But the real people that can articulate the stories, the true stories, are the Batonga legendaries who are still living today. So we can only get the true history from them. That's why the Batonga people, they could survive along Zambezi River without any problem, because they believed so much in aquatic life and they have vast knowledge about river life. Until today, Binga is an isolated area. They live their own life without stress. It is like in another country. When you visit to Binga, you can relate to what I'm saying. If you go there today without knowledge, you are likely going to fail some of the things that they do in the river. For example, sailing a boat in the river alone or in the middle of the water, middle of nowhere. The body of water, someone will be sailing. We call that chikompe. So sort of like chikompe, something like which is made up of wood. Someone can be sailing that in the water. Just imagine how I fear water. So this Nyami Nyami could disappear after providing the Nyama. Some people called names like Munyama Kunengwa, a sliced animal. The role of Nyami Nyami should not be underestimated in the history of Batonga, because the impact was so huge. It played a very crucial role in the history of Batonga. Right now, people call it so many names in different languages, but meaning the same. In Shona, they say Chega wa Chega. Ndebele say Insigabaichi, because they could cut and leave it. So they could cut the meat and leave it. Some people say Batonga people believed in this river goddess as their final god. However, this is not true. That is a misconception that should shun away from, because it distorts the culture of Batonga. Actually, it is not even good, because you don't have an evidence on that Batonga believed in God in heaven, that is Leza, and they described him as omniscient, omnipresent, and omniscience God. This is river goddess was just a mediator and final God in heaven, who is lesser in this case. Some people should understand the river goddess, who was in the position of a conveyor belt between people and Lezawagujuru. So there is no way we can say Nyami Nyami was the actual god for the Batonga people. No. So Kasambabezi was a secret to them because they believed that it dwells their river goddess. According to my research, the Greek mythology, there was a river god known as Poseidon, while in ancient Roman faith there was a river god known as Neptune. This question did these gods really exist? I mean, this question can actually, you can pose it like, did these really exist? You know, sometimes you can sit down and still think that, was this real? Now, it brings us to two schools of thoughts. One argues that Nyami Nyami existed and is a god who saved the Batonga. And the other school of thought argues that Nyami Nyami never really existed. So whenever we are talking about these issues, people should understand that these are issues that has to do with religions. So these things cannot be mathematically or scientifically tested, like testing a leaf in the laboratory, you know. So there is no way we can test it now. So the only thing that we can do is to go to the real people who still exist today and ask if this is true or not. And today, when we ask the elderly people, they could tell you that yes, it is very true. And some, they say they tasted the meat of Nyami Nyami. But in this case, yeah, we can say we are dealing with the issue of faith. So the best people to articulate this are the forefathers who existed, as I alluded earlier before. So this thing really happened. In Tonga, we call it Nzimun Izimulia Batonga. That is the river Kasambabes and Nyami Nyami. Now, as I said earlier before, that this Nyami Nyami had a huge impact, especially to the Batonga people. If you can closely look for the dam to be built or to be constructed in 1957 to 1958 on Kariba, which is now called Kariba, it is believed that Nyami Nyami used to stay there when the Italian came with their development. But to the Batonga people, it wasn't a development at all, but it was actually a trap. That's why they called it Galiba. So Galiba means a trap. So now they said Kariba, which is a wrong word to use.
The arrival in Lorenzo Marks of heavy equipment for the Kariba hydroelectric scheme is setting some tricky handling problems. Hoisted from the hold by straining donkey engines is a giant transformer weighing 109 tons. On the wharf, a special railway bogie was maneuvered into position to receive it. Inched onto the bogie, the transformer was safely loaded and sent on its way to Salisbury. From Salisbury Power Station, a second move was necessary. A road lift to the transformer's final position only 300 yards away.
Since the Batonga people used to stay along the river, and there were so many things which were done before the construction of Kariba, probably the people who were constructing this building, they violated the rules and the taboo, but the Batonga were told to ask from the river god so that the construction could carry forward or resume or to continue. Though a lot of lives were lost, there were floods occurred and eliminated or killed a lot of people, 80 people, including the foreigners. It is believed that the river god was angry of this idea of constructing the dam along Zambezi River. They settled this with elders, but Nyami Nyami gave them a promise that one day the people who belong to these river banks will come back again along this river. So that was the promise which was given to the people who were constructing this building. So some smoke uses fuel that has affected the perception of Nyami Nyami. The theories said the tremors actually are caused by Nyami Nyami. So yeah, this is basically the information about Nyami Nyami. If you find this video interesting, kindly subscribe to this channel so that whenever I post a new thing, you are the first person to see the video. Thank you so much. Until we meet again in my next episode, I sign out. Official Shami, your Victoria Falls blogger, your YouTuber from Zimbabwe. Thank you so much.
Mumari muladuba mumari mumwetera bwanga mumari mumwetera mulomo jezya anindongerwa jezya mumari mumwetera bwanga majezya ndamura jezya nzokwanjisya mwe bama menzokwanjera bama menzokwanjera ndi mwana anindongerwa jezya bama bagandureza bama bagandipa muno mabo ijipetera busenga bama nijipetera busenga bama bagandipa muno mabo jezya anindongerwa magwe aya masowe ida kuti muchagata nzokwanjera bama menzokwa moyo nzokwanjera bama menzokwanjera chamali mulatuba mdomba anindongerwa bama
watu akali kutema mbusambu batema muntu akali kupesa twabika mu maboko nituloguma nityagumanzi tyabuma basimba
kuti amuyandi bakupa banyoko
kwata mu maboko yitabuya butu yabuma mukacha mbobo
mukacha uyiwa mu mukacha
tumyandi pema arimo tabani pideme tabani pinju ntayandi pema dikokomene ndanda wangu
bama nyanda wangu mulombe nyanda wakulibonena bama nyanda wakulibonena bama syamali mulatuba ndomba anindongerwa magwangu
lasibumba so kutumira ndagaga wasikoyi wanditumira kunzoya ndandi konda mu moyo ngulu
ntagwatwena mumali mulatuba mumali mumwetera mulomo mumali mulatuba mumali mumwetera bwanga ndomba anindongerwa magwangu mumali mumwetera bwanga mumali mumwetera bwanga ayeye bama menjanda wangu dedi bama menjanda wakulibonena bama menjanda wangu dedi ndomba anindongerwa magwangu bama menjanda wangu dedi
ndayera magwangu
janda wangu tedi ba mama janda wangu libonena janda wangu tedi ba mama janda wangu mulombe ba mama janda wangu mulombe ndomba ani ndongerwa jesya
na jani na pamu pati ndagaga